If someone with a gun stops you and demands your money, would you call police?
Well, what if the person who demanded your money was the police? I-Team's Glenn Meek looked into roadside cash seizures by deputies in rural Nevada and finds their tactics are, well, generating a lot of heat.
That's right. Some people in Humboldt County are sort of tongue-in-cheekly referring to it as highway robbery. Now, we want to say there is no evidence that police and prosecutors are keeping the money for themselves. But there is a very real issue of whether their zeal to intercept drug money is also catching innocent people in the dragnet. The I-Team has obtained exclusive dash cam video from one of these car stops, and it shines a rarely seen light on what's going on the side of the road.
How much money you got?
You're watching Humboldt County Deputy Lee Dove.
That's not yours, is it? Well, I'm seizing it.
This dash cam video gives insight into what some say is a pattern of questionable drug interdiction stops by Deputy Dove here along I-80 near Winnemucca. He stopped an out-of-state motorist for doing 78 in a 75 zone. Dove finds $50,000 cash and $10,000 in cashier's checks during a search of the car.
I'm convinced that's dope money. Now, you may get away with the cashier's checks and stuff, but you ain't getting the cash. That's going to be seized.
The first issue is whether Dove obtained permission to search the car, or whether he simply told the driver, Tan Nguyen, that he was going to do it.
Well, I'm going to search that vehicle first, okay?
Well, what's the reason for searching my car?
Because I'm talking to you. Well, I'm not going to explain that to you. I'm not going to explain that to you. I'm not going to explain that to you, but I am going to put my drug dog on that if my dog alerts I'm seizing the money. You can try to get it back, but you're not getting it back. I took it from Vegas and let it... Good luck proving it. Good luck proving it. You'll burn it up in attorney fees before we get it back to you.
But Dove never seizes the money under state forfeiture law. He offers Nguyen a deal. Abandon the cash, and you can leave with the traveler's checks. Otherwise, Dove will confiscate the cash anyway and tow the car because Nguyen's name isn't on the rental agreement.
It's your call. If you want to walk away, you can take the cashier's check, the car, and everything in it, and you can bolt. And you'll be on your way. But you're going to be walking away from this money and abandoning it.
Our sheriff and our DA have said, oh, there's no wrongdoing here.
Dee Holzel is a Winnemucca blogger who wants an investigation of the I-80 cash seizures that's independent of the local DA and sheriff.
What they said initially was, well, these are civil forfeiture programs. These kind of things happen everywhere. There's nothing unusual about Humboldt County, but that turned out not to be true. When you have people by the side of the road and you're having them abandon their money so they'll be allowed to get in their car and drive away, they don't do that everywhere.
I don't have all day to sit here debating it. You need to give me a decision what you want to do.
Critics believe deputies have been avoiding court oversight by leaning on drivers to abandon their cash rather than seizing it, and giving warnings rather than tickets.
If they're given a ticket, then they got to show up in court and say, hey, wait a minute, I wasn't speeding. And besides that, this guy took my dough.
Deputy Dove, my name's Glenn Meek. I'm with Channel 8. I caught up with Deputy Dove at a canine training event in Winnemucca, but Dove declined a TV interview. The sheriff's office released a photo of Dove with Nguyen's money following the traffic stop, saying the money would be used to help fight crime. But the money was eventually returned to Nguyen, along with $10,000 in attorney's fees, after Nguyen sued the department.
An armed person stops a traveler and demands the traveler's money and tells the traveler that unless he gets in his car and moves on down the road and forgets all about it, he's going to take his car too.
There's your license. I'm not going to call the tow company.
I'd say that might be pretty close to what you're describing as highway robbery.
And you're free to go, my friend. All right?
This afternoon, I had a candid conversation with Sheriff Ed Kilgore of Humboldt County. To his credit, he conceded that proper procedures were not followed in a number of cases. He says officers no longer ask people to abandon their cash. If it's suspected proceeds from crime, the civil forfeiture process will be followed and people will be given their day in court. He does put some of the blame on the DA's office up there, though, for not making sure that his cases that his office sent them were properly reviewed and processed. I left messages with the DA's office office but didn't get a response. Here's what Kilgore said to me today. We want to do the right thing. I am a strong proponent of fighting the war on drugs, and I want to make sure everything we do here is on the up and up. And coming up at 11 p.m., we'll hear more on the changes being made as a result of all the controversy surrounding these cash seizures. And we'll also hear from a young man who had $2,400 confiscated from him simply as he traveled across Nevada on the way to California for a new job.
Somebody's got to be checking on him like you did. Thanks, Glenn. A lawsuit has been filed against the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department, alleging that deputies there are unlawfully seizing cash from motorists just traveling down I-80 toward California. The I-Team's Glenn Meek first brought us exclusive dash cam video of one of those stops. And tonight, Glenn speaks to one man who had $2,400 taken from him, even though he was never charged.
Remember the old Watergate adage, follow the money? Well, that's what some people in Humboldt County are trying to do, and they're calling for an independent investigation of these traffic stops that have resulted in more than one traveler having their cash taken without ever being charged with a crime.
I just smelled weed. I know I did. I know I smelled weed.
Humboldt County Deputy Lee Dove never finds weed in this car he's searching after a traffic stop on I-80. But he does find $50,000 cash and $10,000 in cashier's checks. Dove is suspicious because the driver gave him conflicting answers to his questions, and he tells the driver he's confiscating the cash.
Every day I do this. This is all I do for a living, is drug interdiction, and I get money.
But Deputy Dove doesn't arrest or even cite the driver. He offers him a deal. Sign a release abandoning the cash, and the driver can take the cashier's checks and go on his way.
Everybody, that's what I do with, because they don't want the problems or the headaches. So they abandon the money, they take what they've got in their wallet, or in this case, cashier's checks, and they bolt.
The public did not respond positively to this.
Dee Holzel is a Winnemucca blogger who takes the temperature of the town here at the Global Espresso coffee shop. She's keeping a close eye on these currency seizures along I-80. She's concerned that it's not always people with large amounts of unexplained cash.
Little numbers, amounts as small as $600 and $700 that anybody might have in their pocket if they were taking a trip.
Some of them are drug dealers, some of them are innocent people, but that's not the point. The point is, none of these people should be having their cash taken from them without having any evidence of committing a crime.
Though he was never charged or even cited for anything, Matt Lee had $2,400 taken from him by Deputy Dove as Lee drove to California from Michigan to look for a job.
I don't think many people know what the asset forfeiture laws dictate that is allowed to be done, and I think that if people knew, it would get overturned in a heartbeat.
Matt Lee can't discuss details of his case because, like some others, he signed a confidentiality agreement with Humboldt County in order to get his money back.
They're buying their silence with their own money.
The only reason why you have that cash is because it's related to some sort of illegal activity. You know it and I know it.
You know, you got to differentiate between the drug trafficker and the guy who, you know, is going to gamble or likes to carry cash or doesn't trust banks or something.
Attorney John Olson helped Matt Lee get his money back and got $50 grand returned to the driver in this video. Olson has also filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of others who have had cash taken. Olson says he understands the logic of drug interdiction, but thinks the logic Humboldt deputies are using is flawed.
They sell weed in California. These people are heading to California. They had money. Therefore, their intention was to buy weed. Well, even if that logic was true, which it is not true, it doesn't matter what your intention is.
I mean, you have no right to take this money.
Yes, I do.
I haven't done
yes,
anything illegal.
Yes, you have. I believe you have. Okay?
Dee Holzel and others are calling for an investigation of these cash seizures that's independent of the local DA and sheriff.
And if it turns out everything's on the up and up, awesome. That's great. But we would like, I think the majority of people would like to have it looked at by an outside agency.
Thank you very much. Drive careful and slow down.
Glenn Meek, 8 News Now.
This afternoon, Sheriff Ed Kilgore of Humboldt County called the I-Team to respond to the allegations raised in the lawsuit. And he said, quote, "We want to do the right thing. I'm a strong proponent of fighting the war on drugs, and I want to make sure everything we do here is on the up and up." Sheriff Kilgore conceded there have been some procedural problems with some car stops, and he says some of the things you saw in that dashcam video should not have happened.
Controversial drug stops have been suspended in Humboldt County, and the Nevada Attorney General has been called in to review the practice.
And the news comes after an I-team investigation exposed a police dash cam video that shows a deputy confiscating $50,000 cash from a motorist who was never charged with anything. The I-team's Glenn Meek exposed that video to the world earlier this month, and he joins us now with new fallout from that investigation.
Yeah, that's right. It's a video that shined a light on what's been going on
That
the
was
side
shocking.
of the road. That video shows a sheriff's deputy telling a motorist that he's seizing the motorist's cash because the officer suspects it's drug money. And the officer then offers the motorist a deal: abandon the cash and leave with some traveler's checks that the driver also had, or the deputy will confiscate all the money and have the man's car towed as well.
I do not have to prove my case on the side of the road, okay? I don't have to prove that, all right? You can take these and the car and the luggage in your written warning, and you can leave, and I will give you a receipt for the money, and you abandon it, and you walk away, and you chalk it up to don't do this no more, all right? That's what it amounts to.
Now, the driver in this case was never cited or charged with anything, and eventually he sued and got his money back. A class action lawsuit was also filed against the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department, alleging other unlawful stops and improper cash seizures. Now, our airing of the dashcam video apparently fueled public concern over what was going on, and the sheriff suspended the program for review. Today, he confirmed in a Facebook posting that he's invited an outside agency to conduct an independent investigation of the entire drug interdiction program. Sheriff Ed Kilgore says the public confidence has eroded in the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. I want the citizens that we serve to know that we are lawful. Therefore, I contacted the Nevada Attorney General's office to ask for an independent review of our program. The sheriff also indicates the deputy in the video has been disciplined, but he can't reveal the punishment because it is a personnel issue. And of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on that investigation by the Attorney General. As soon as we have results, we'll bring them to you.
Yeah.
That was smart.
Great job,
Thanks,
Glenn.
Glenn.